During the political overreaction to the pandemic, when the federal government was banning Canadians from flying and taking trains, the Canadian government was funding trade shows in China to encourage Chinese business and tourism in Canada.
You deserve a government that's going to continue to say, get vaccinated. And you know what? If you don't want to get vaccinated, that's your choice. But don't think you can get on a plane or a train beside vaccinated people.
The pandemic seems so long ago, but really it's just right behind us. In fact, it probably could catch up to us again if it really started moving. And we're just now finding out all the things the federal government did in secrecy that they didn't want us to know about during those dark, dark times. For example, when these people were canceling Christmas, closing our grocery stores, describing an illness as a moral failing, and berating anyone who disagreed with lockdown restrictions and vaccine mandates that in hindsight were proven to be ineffective infractions on your civil liberties.
They are putting at risk their own kids, and they're putting at risk our kids as well.
They were advocating for business and tourism in China. You couldn't leave your house. You couldn't see your family. And if you did, you were a bad citizen. All while these people were simultaneously begging Chinese oligarchs to come to Canada on planes and trains you weren't allowed to be on. We know this information thanks to an order paper question posed by Calgary Conservative MP Michelle Rempel-Garner. She asked the federal government for details about receptions, trade shows, and trade fairs that the federal government spent money on between January 1st, 2016 and September 28th, 2023. The last 3 years of that, of course, was a pandemic. And now we know, during the pandemic, Canadian taxpayers funded the Food and Hotel China Expo in 2020. We forked out $145,000 to promote the hospitality industry in China, according to page 18 of these documents, all while our own hospitality industry was being destroyed by lockdowns. Page 19 of these documents, we can see the Canadian taxpayer funded the very same Chinese hospitality trade show again in 2021. $233,000 was spent to promote it, along with the China Fisheries Seafood Expo, upon which Canadian taxpayers forked out $138,000. There's a list of international receptions and expos the federal government gave money to. Just look at all of this. Much of it taking place while you were told to stay home to stay safe, to abandon all social contact with your friends, and watch your neighbors' businesses be destroyed, during which time the feds were overseas promoting business. On page 55, we can see the DFO, that's the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, took 2020 off such sponsorships, but they were back again in 2021, sponsoring the China Seafood Expo. Page 162, Health Canada and the Public Health Agency of Canada refused to say how many such international conferences they funded. They didn't deny funding them, they just don't think you should know. On page 81, Destination Canada was sure spending a lot of money on international events to promote visits to Canada when such travel was banned, both into Canada but within Canada. For the unvaccinated, they spent $1.3 million in 2020, $925,000 in 2021. Outrageous. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. Examining these massive order paper responses and filing for access to information takes time, it takes effort, and it takes money. If you'd like to help offset our research and filing fees, please consider making a donation at a special investigations website, rebelinvestigates.com. And thank you in advance to everyone who makes this important accountability journalism possible.